Hi guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So we're here for another one of our mass making sessions, and I thought what we could do today is mass make some of those. They look like a little envelope, but they're actually a fold out sort of flippy piece. I'm probably not really making that sound very clear, but hopefully it will become clear as we go along. So to actually make the basic piece, they don't really need gluing or anything like that. You're just going to need some paper and some scissors. You could use a bone folder if you feel you need it to do your creases and things, or your folds, but that's completely up to you. The only time you're going to need the glue is if you're going to be decorating your little foldy flip things. I know that I'm not describing them very well, but hopefully it will come clear in a moment what we're making. So I've just bought along a bunch of papers. Now all of my papers that I've bought along, including this 12 by 12 sheet, they have all been coffee dyed, and they are also all thin, like thin papers. They're not thick cardstock or anything. I mean, these are like regular copy paper, and this, although is scrapbook 12 by 12 paper, it's not the type that you get, you know, cardstock. It's quite thin. I don't know what, you know, this would be described as, but I would say it's pretty much not a lot thicker than copy paper. So maybe like 100 GSM or something like that. That's personal preference, only because I think they work better with flimsy papers. But of course, you know, use what you fancy using and have a play, because you know, you might find something that I have not tried, or you know, anything else. So I'm going to move them off to the side, or well, onto my lap anyway, and we can do the first one so that you get you know, the idea what we're actually making here. So all I'm going to do in the first instance is cut a strip from, you know, regular copy paper this is. So I'm just going to cut a strip here. Again, obviously I do not measure. I would say this is like a couple of inches. I mean, I can put it on my board. Oh my gosh, look, a couple of inches. It's actually 3 inches. So clearly my measurements are like way off. Now you can see I have cut that horribly unstraight against my board. You can see how wonky that is. Doesn't matter at all. So all I'm going to do in the first instance is actually fold my flaps. Now I've got a tear here in my paper. And I was going to take it from there, but actually I'm going to take it from here because I thought that I could disguise the tear, but actually it's not really disguising. So I'm just going to make my little envelope shape here at the top. Now, again, it doesn't have to, you know, meet perfectly in the middle. See, mine's got a little flat edge. That's fine. So then what you're going to do is you're just going to take your flappy piece and fold it up. So again, what I like to do is, and this sounds a weird description, I'm not rolling it. I'm obviously sort of folding it, but I'm not pressing it in. And that way I can just judge roughly where I want the folds to be, if that makes sense. So I just sort of take it up like that without folding. And then once I know roughly where it needs to be, then I start pressing in my folds like that, and then my top piece then just folds over like that. So I mean, super simple, and it's just, yeah, like an origami type thing really. Well, it's nowhere near as clever as origami obviously, but that's just my method. Probably other people, you know, they possibly do measure them and things like that, and you know, have a smarter method for making sure it all works out. But that's the method that I use. And then when you untuck it, you've just got your little flippy piece like that. And again, then it's completely up to you whether you want to glue these down. This is a little bit curly, as you can see, just from, you know, where it's been coffee dyed and things. So I might glue this one down. I know I said we didn't need any glue until the, you know, decorating part, but I will glue this down just because, you know, I don't really want it sort of flapping around. But I might glue some and I might not, if you see what I mean. It just depends, like, whether they're very curly on the edges of the paper. So that one I will glue down, but I might not glue them all down. And again, obviously, if you want to use your bone folder, then you can. There we go. So that's our first one. So again, I mean, obviously I don't measure anything, but you should be able to get sort of approximately 3 out of like a standard coffee size paper, maybe 4, depending on how you're cutting them really. So yeah, I mean 4, they would be quite skinny, I would say. So I would say comfortably 3, you're going to have a little bit of wastage from the paper. But I mean, again, if you're, you know, super slick and you can kind of measure and all that jazz, then you, to be honest, probably can make a much more efficient job of this than I am. But yeah, I mean, I just go with the flow. So again, just take your little triangle pieces and then again, just doing that sort of like rolling motion, just as you get it roughly where you want it, and then you can obviously pop your folds in like that, and then you can obviously fold your flap over. I need to trim mine down because obviously I haven't measured it or anything, and so, you know, I haven't drawn a straight line or cut it with a cutter, so I'm just trimming my edges. Your edges may not need trimming at all, they might be, you know, perfectly straight enough. And as you can probably see, that one actually, those folds are not really sort of curling over too much, so I can probably get away with just, you know, squashing that with the foam folder and not bothering to glue those flaps because they're not curling up like the other one was. Okay, again, I mean, you can see I've got a bit of wonky edge there down the back because obviously again I hadn't cut it with a trimmer, but you know, that's fine. Okay, so then again, just take it and trim off the edge. Now, do you see what I mean? I've got here a little skinny slither, which, to be fair, I mean, if I had measured, I could probably do them all, you know, at like say 2.5 inches. I mean, actually I'm seeming to cut them sort of 3 inches, but you know, you could probably get it so you cut them all at sort of 2.5 inches or whatever, and then you wouldn't really have the wastage. But you know, I mean, it's only a small slither, it's not like hugely wasteful, I think. So that's that one. And again, do your roly foldy thing. I mean, that again, that's just my method for getting it approximately where I, you know, where I want the fold. So like that. And then again, you can just then squash that down with your bone folder. Again, you don't have to. If you haven't got a bone folder, just use your scissor handle. That's absolutely fine. And again, I'm just going to trim this up like that. Okay. So really simple, really quick, really easy. And then obviously at the end, you know, we will decorate one of these, but straight away, if I just demonstrate, I haven't got an actual journal on the go, but that could just be paper clipped onto a page like that. Really, really cute. Or you could pop this into a pocket, or you could have it as a little pocket on a page. You know, you could just paper clip it shut and then you could tuck something behind it. So they've got lots of different ways that you can use these. And I just think they're a really nice, pretty sort of embellishment. So I also brought along some coffee dyed printables. Again, just using the copy paper. So again, I'm just going to trim it down. Like that. So I mean, obviously you can see, you know, it's completely not rocket science or anything like that. Now I just want to be careful here because this one's got some text on it, so I want to sort of make sure that my text is up the right way and my flowers are up the right way if possible. So by folding it that way, they are. So that means I just want to have my folded flaps around about there. Oops. That way up. I mean, I only say that because, to be honest, I have so many times done things and then they're folded the wrong way up for the text and things like that. And, you know, whilst I don't think it really matters too much, obviously if you think of it, then it's really quite handy to to just factor that in. So again, just then folding down like that, and then you can just fold your flap over. And then again, oops, where's my bone folder gone now? Oops, there we go. And just squash that in like that. I mean, they look a bit like envelopes, or I think they look a little bit like sort of clutch handbags, you know, like from the 80s. I think they look a bit like that. But, you know, that's just a little mix up to show you sort of how they look with the patterned paper. So I think it's a nice alternative, really. So again, just cut this down. So I'll do one more just rabbiting on about what I'm doing. And then I will obviously shut up, because I'm sure that you've all seen enough. And we just then, you know, relax into it. And I will probably then just do it more like a factory, you know, assembly line, where, you know, I'll cut all my strips and then do all my folding and all my like bone folder bits all together at the same time. Just because I think that's probably more efficient, really. But yeah, these are just really cute little things, I think, to include in your journals. Okay, and again, I just trim it down at the edge, like that. Okay, and then a bit that side. So they look really pretty, don't they, in the patterned paper? Okay, so I'm going to just check that everything's in frame and things before I carry on, because you just can never tell, can you? Right, okay, we're good to go, I think. So then I will stop rabbiting on. Just one last thing before I do shut up is obviously this one is a 12 by 12 sheet. So what I think I'm going to do is just trim it down height-wise to approximately, you know, an A4 sheet. And by A4, I'm meaning copy paper size. Like that. So I've just trimmed that whole top piece off, and obviously we can make one with that. But this has made it, I mean, it's not copy size, but it's nearer to copy size. Okay, like that. So then we can obviously use it like that. So yeah, that's just a quick how I will be using this one. So okay, I will just trim these down and do the assembly line sort of style, and then you know, we can just relax, have a nice time, grab yourselves a cup of tea, and yeah, just have an enjoyable fun time. So I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're all you know, staying safe and well. As I'm filming this is Easter Monday. So we are still in the, you know, sort of lockdown scenario. I think today, sorry, I think it's like 3 weeks. And yeah, so I've got this strip, which I might not even throw away. I might make a little paper clip out of that. Yeah, I think we're up to 3 weeks now. So, I mean, to be fair, it's gone surprisingly quickly, actually. Just not going to use that sheet of paper because it was a bit torn in the middle. Yeah, it's gone surprisingly quickly. I mean, I have to say it is a conversation killer, because like around the dinner table now, we're all pretty silent. You know, like nobody's got anything new to say. So yeah, that's been sort of interesting to observe. I mean, interesting and I guess not wholly surprising. But yeah, I mean, we were sat at dinner last night and I just kind of laughed and just said, you know, wow, this really does kill the conversation, doesn't it? Because, you know, we've got like nothing to say to one another. We're together all the time. I mean, obviously people are going off to their bedrooms and what have you, and, you know, we're not together all the time. I mean, like now I'm up here doing the video, everyone else is downstairs. But we are sort of together, as in, you know, nobody's certainly doing anything very different to anybody else. We're all just chilling out in the house. I mean, it's, yeah, very strange. experience, but definitely kind of over dinner, there's not much conversation going on, I can tell you that. So, yeah. I don't know whether we're the only people who've found that, but definitely, because nobody's obviously got any news or anything. Even if we've been for like sort of separate bike rides or anything, you know, because obviously we are allowed out to exercise. I haven't actually been out the house again for a couple of days now, but I had been out for a couple of bike rides last week, and but I haven't, you know, I still haven't been into a shop or spoken to anyone or anything like that. And you know, everyone's the same, so none of us have kind of mixed with anybody or done anything significant. Obviously yesterday was Easter Sunday, so very luckily, you know, the Easter bunny was able to get the Easter eggs, so we just have a little small hunt, just with those, you know, little eggs, not the mini eggs. They are foil wrapped eggs that we use, but yeah. So, and the sun was shining. I have to say today is not looking too brilliant. It's quite windy and quite chilly, but yesterday the sun was shining. In fact, the whole weekend was beautiful, and so it was lovely because everybody was then able to do the hunt in the garden, which was really nice. So, I mean, I say everybody, obviously my eldest son is now like 17, so he was very much, you know, oh God, you know, I'm too cool to be doing this. But just kind of gently reminded him that obviously he did have fun when he was kind of 6, you know, like my daughter, so perhaps he could just make an effort and join in the hunt. So he did, obviously. But yeah, I mean, he did look quite funny, and obviously I took some pictures and stuff, and the pictures are quite amusing because obviously he was pretty ginormous to be carrying his tiny little hunt bucket, you know, filling it with the eggs. So yeah, that was quite fun. But we were really lucky anyway because the weather was gorgeous. So yeah, that was yesterday. Today, obviously I'm filming this in the morning, and so we've just had breakfast. Well, quite a while ago actually. It's probably now coming up for lunchtime, but yeah, I don't know what we're going to be doing today because the weather is not so nice. We won't really be able to sit in the garden, so it might be a movie day. Perhaps we'll make a cake, something like that. We have got eggs to be able to make a cake, so hopefully it won't be a disaster like the last cake that was, you know, bodged up with milk. Sorry, again, I'm just checking that text the way up it needs to go. I can't even see it properly, to be honest. I think that's the right way up. Yeah, so maybe, you know, maybe we'll make a cake or something. The other thing that I have done was I thought I'm going to utilise this time to make a scrapbook of our holiday photos. I did a journal last year and the year before of our holiday, which, wow, I mean, the time just flies so quickly, doesn't it? I can't believe how long it is since that holiday. But yeah, so I did a journal, but I didn't do any sort of photo album. So I finally printed out the pictures. Well, I say I finally printed them out. I'm in the middle of printing them. I haven't finished. So I'm in the middle of printing the pictures out from the holiday, not last year's, but the year before, of our sort of tour, our road trip. And I'm going to do a scrapbook. I think what I'm going to do is like an altered book. I've got a few other videos coming up of some other things that I've been playing around with lately, which has kind of inspired me for how to do my scrapbook, I think. So yeah, obviously I'm just going to be fitting that in like as and when. I did say to my daughter, I'd print some pictures off for you and you can do a scrapbook as well. She doesn't sound that fussed, to be honest. She has a low boredom threshold, so no doubt she would be pretty bored pretty quickly, but I will try and encourage her to do one. Okay, this is that long piece from the 12 by 12. So it may be that I will be able to fold this up an extra time, or I might have to trim some off. So we'll just see how we get on, because obviously it's still, you know, it's still narrow, so might have to just trim a little bit, because otherwise it's going to look a bit strange, I think. So like that. Okay, this is a bit tricky. So if we did there, maybe there. No, now look, muck that up completely. This is just too much paper for me to cope with. Like, I can't quite get this right. Okay. Okay, right. Yeah, so I've got some videos coming up of some other sort of quite fun things that I have been doing. So hopefully you guys, you know, if you're bored and want something to watch, there might be a couple of new ideas for you to play around trying. So I'm not sure when they will be loaded up, but probably over the next, I'll probably start loading them in a couple of days, maybe even tomorrow. I just have to see, because I film ahead, you know, I have a few videos that I'm wanting to upload, so I just need to see like the order that they're going to go in. But yeah, hopefully I've got some fun things that I've got 1 or 2 things that I hadn't really seen before, so hopefully you guys will you know, find something fun, and maybe something different too. So yeah, just trying to you know, keep your mind active really, because you know, it's all very well staying in crafting, but it's quite hard to keep fresh, isn't it, to you know, keep ideas fresh. So there we go. Yeah, what else have we been up to? Oh, I don't know now, to be honest, but yeah, I made some vegan Easter eggs for myself. I know I've said this so many times, you're probably all so bored of hearing this. I'm not a vegan, I'm a vegetarian, but I don't eat chocolate purely because I really needed to clean up my diet a few years ago, and I was having a bit of an issue with the amount of chocolate that I was eating at the time. So yeah, I haven't now eaten chocolate for like 5 years at all. Not a single piece of chocolate. I have hot chocolate, but I haven't eaten like a chocolate bar or anything like that for 5 years now. But I do make my own chocolate, and so I live on that, but it's all obviously from healthy things. So I made myself some Easter eggs, you know, some vegan version of Easter eggs. They're only quite small, but they're very dense. They're very, you know, well, I guess they're quite nutrient sort of rich really, but so you can't really eat too much of them. So although they're only quite small, and the recipe I made 4, so I've eaten 2 already. But I mean, you couldn't sit and eat them, you know, like an actual Easter egg. You could just sit and or I certainly used to be able to just sit and scoff and scoff and scoff. I can't sit and scoff the vegan type chocolate like that, because it's much richer, and yeah, I think you'd feel pretty sick, to be honest, quite quickly, which is a good thing. You know, if you're a bit gluttonous like I am, then that's quite a good way of curbing it, is to you know, not be able to physically eat so much, because it's not sickly exactly. Well, I mean, I guess it would be sickly, but it's quite heavy, so it's quite filling. Yeah, so you couldn't kind of just sit and stuff like you can with regular chocolate, you know. But as I say, I mean, for me, that's a good thing. we go. Oh, everyone's just eating and eating. I think I said this in a video before. But, oh, they just eat all the time. You know, the kids and my husband actually are constantly like, oh, no sooner have you had breakfast than they're like, oh, what should we have for lunch? And then what should we have for dinner? It's quite horrible actually how how obsessed that they are with just eating all the time. You know, and they're having like a proper cooked well, actually they're having 3 cooked meals a day, because they generally are having like an omelette for breakfast. Then they have like, I don't know, maybe like a pasta for lunch or something, and then a dinner, which again might be a pasta or maybe like, you know, wraps or fajitas or, you know, something like that. So they're having like 3 cooked meals a day, which, I mean, I don't think really people need 3 cooked meals a day, but that's just probably my opinion. But oh, it just feels like they're forever just in the kitchen making a mess and cooking and eating. I don't know quite what happened to sandwiches. You know, they used to be obsessed. My husband was obsessed with sandwiches. He was a bit like Joey from Friends, with his love of sandwiches, you know. So it was always like, oh, should we have some sandwiches, you know? And it was, oh gosh, how many sandwiches can one person eat? But he seems to have now moved on from sandwiches to now cooked stuff, which, oh, I'm not sure what's worse, to be honest. The sandwiches or the cooked stuff, I'm not sure. I mean, thankfully, you know, they are cooking their own lunches and things. They're not expecting me to be cooking it, you know, thank goodness. But I'm just like, oh my gosh, how much food, seriously, do you need to be eating? Again, I'm just checking that I'm getting this the right way up. Yeah, how much food do you need to eat is very questionable. Now, I'm not sure how this one's going to go because it's much wider. So what I'm going to do, I think, is just fold it in. I was going to say twice, but actually I fold it like that and then down. So it's a bit of a wide one. I mean, I don't, well, I was going to say I don't like it so much, but actually it's quite cute. And I'm just going to trim it down a bit here at the edge. Like that. Sorry if you can hear them. I think they're out in the garden now. You know, playing and... Well, I say that. They might not be, actually. They can certainly... I could hear my daughter, anyway, shrieking and making a load of noise. So, sorry about that if you could hear her. Right, I'm just checking what the time is. I think it's like 30 minutes. So, I mean, they're really quick and easy. I mean, we've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 of these little ones, which is awesome, isn't it? So we'll just do a couple of decorating things now. Oops, look at that one. Don't know what I did with that, but not good folding. I don't think I must have pressed it down properly, and it obviously then got squashed and went a little bit skewiff. So let me just... Okay, right. Just cut that down. So we'll decorate a couple up and, you know, to give you a couple of ideas. As I say, I mean, this is nothing new. These are just, you know, things that I've made before. And, you know, I'm sure things that most of you have probably made before and probably seen other people make and things. But they are quite cute and, you know, just something a little bit fun to do, aren't they? And they're quite versatile, which is really nice too. So, right, I'm just having a look. So, got these flowers here, which again, these are some new printables, which again, I don't know whether these will be in my shop by the time this video goes up, because I have been using these for another project that I have been doing, videoing for you guys, which is one of the ones that I said, you know, hasn't gone up yet. So these little flowers and printables may not be up in my shop yet either. So that's rather cute there, isn't it? I think. Do we quite like that little stamp? I quite like it. And then let's just see. Right, got a little word. Just cut that word out. So that's quite cute there, isn't it? So I think what I'll do, I'm just going to ink that flower up before sticking it on. Like that. Wow, can you hear that wind? It's really windy out there today. So yeah, I mean, it's strange because the weather has gone one extreme to the other, because I mean, yesterday, to be fair, it wasn't as nice as the days before. It did turn out lovely, but the morning was quite chilly. But yeah, I mean, Saturday, I think it was stifling. I mean, I've said before, but our garden is not particularly big. So, of course, you know, as soon as it gets even slightly warmer, our garden is really hot because it's, you know, not very big. It doesn't particularly get much breeze or anything. And we're quite well sheltered. So it was really, really hot out there. And yeah, it's just really strange because literally to the point, on Saturday it must have been, you know, I thought, oh, my legs are getting quite burnt out in the sun. So yeah, it's just really strange because today just sounds like gusty winds, and it does feel significantly chillier. So I was going to go out for a bike ride at some point today with my husband and my daughter, but to be honest, it's sounding so windy, I couldn't think of anything I would less want to do than go out on a bike ride in the wind. I'm not a bike in the wind kind of person. I just like it when it's calm and still and going to be easy to bike. I don't want to be going out when it's going to be hard work. So yeah, I was only going to go out because I hadn't been out for like several days, 2 or 3 days. So I thought, oh, I should really get out a little bit. But, oh, that weather doesn't sound so inviting, so I might not, to be honest. Right, I'm just going to just ink this up here, a little bit more around the edge there. Just go a bit around the back, and a bit more here. So, how cute does that look? And then should we have a little bit of lace on there? Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? Maybe just a touch down there. Do you know what? I think I'm actually debating whether or not it needs lace. What is happening with me today? That's not right, is it? Okay. Just pop that bit of lace on there. Just trim that off at the side. Oh, that's so pretty, isn't it? So that's one. Let's decorate one of these black ones because they look quite different, don't they? So let's do one of those. Because obviously, you know, these have been so super quick and easy to make, I feel I have got a bit of time to spare compared to normal. So, you know, we can actually decorate a couple up. So let's trim that one down. Right, let's just ink this one up first, I think. So, and you'll notice that I didn't glue those flaps down, you know, the triangles, on any others. I only did that on that first one because, as I'd said, you know, that was a bit curly and so it wasn't really laying very flat. But hopefully you can kind of see that, you know, I haven't needed to do that with any others. So completely up to you really if you glue your flaps down or not. I mean, I really think they only need gluing down if they're a little bit curly, you know, and aside from that, I don't really think they kind of need gluing down too much. Right, what are we going to put on this one? Just having a hunt around the desk now, seeing what little bits and pieces I might have. Right, I've got this little piece here from my Curator's Collection background pages. I've added some more pieces now for my Curator's Collections. So I've got like sets 1, which was the ornithology and the entomology and the botanical ones. And they obviously have got a set of background pages that complement nicely those 3 sets. And then I've now added another 3 sets, which are portraits, timepieces and scrap florals. And again, I did some coordinating background pages for those as well. So they are in my shop if you wanted to have a look at those. Right, just deciding what else to put with this. Might cut out one of these flowers. Not sure how this flower will look with this, but we'll just see. Again, I mean, I'm just literally grabbing stuff that's laying about on my desk, really, so that's all I'm doing. And I did get quite a bit of coffee dyeing done at the weekend on Saturday, whilst the weather was beautiful. I have to say, it's all now just sat on my kitchen side, waiting to be ironed. So again, I thought, oh well, I'll save that for a day when it's not so nice, and then, like, you know, whilst we're watching a movie or something, I will just do all of that ironing, you know, while the movie's on. So today may be that day, you know, if the weather doesn't cheer up, it may just be that day today. Oh, I don't know now, because I quite like the flower, I quite like the butterfly, I quite like the word, but I'm not sure I quite like them all together. Let me just ink that word up. These little words, these are from my Curator's Collection, the portraits that I was just mentioning. Right, got this flower here. So I'll just try this one, because I just wondered whether this one might go really nicely with that butterfly. Just being, because it's a little bit reddy orange, it might just coordinate with that butterfly quite nicely. Oh, that's so pretty, isn't it? Yeah, I quite like that. I mean, I did quite like that butterfly there, to be fair. Oh, it's so tough sometimes making a decision, isn't it? Well, maybe not for everyone, but I certainly find it so tough sometimes. Oh, let me see what else I've got. Got a little flower. No, that's not right. That's not the right piece at all. Got a little stamped piece here, which is quite cute. Do you know what? I might do that instead. So this one, I think this is a Crafty Individuals stamp. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to stick this down here. So I just pop that there. And then what I'm going to do here, I just get a brad, I think, get my pokey tool, and I'm just going to pop pop this down. Like that. On that flap. Oops. But I mean, to be honest, you could make something like this very simply, because it's literally just like a rectangle. It's not even a tag shape. It's, you know. Okay. These are those long stemmed brads again. I do absolutely love them, but they have got like the longest legs on the planet. Right. Oh, well, as brads go, anyway. So I might just then have beautiful down there and maybe pop a bit of lace on just to be really different. Let's really mix things up. Let's have some lace, because that's something we never do. Actually, I just before I stick that on, just spotted, oh, this piece of sheet music, which, to be fair, this is not really the right piece. Oh, I wonder whether I could use this instead. Right, hold on. Just because I then thought, oh, actually, we could have something in the background of the word. So, again, let me just ink this up. Okay. Okie dokie. So for anyone who's been watching that BBC drama, The Nest, I think it was on last night, but my son and I didn't watch it. He's been watching it with me. We didn't watch it last night, but I think my mum, when I spoke to her on, you know, FaceTime, I think she said it's going to be on both nights, so like Sunday and Monday. So it should be on again tonight. Last night for you guys watching. So yeah, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to tune into that tonight, you know, so hopefully we might get a chance this afternoon or something to just watch last night's and then watch it tonight, if that makes sense. It's really good. I don't know quite what's going to happen, or, you know, where it's going, but it is good. It's a good one. I do like those dramas, to be honest. They're really quite intense to watch sometimes. You know, like at the end, you're like, oh no, gotta wait till next week. It's been one a bit like that. Okay, so that's another one which looks really cute, doesn't it? Do we need any bling on there? Oh, let's just have a little bit of bling just to really go to town on this one. Just hold it down a bit with that. Someone outside is obviously cutting their grass. Not us, because I know I've said before we haven't got any grass, but yeah, I can hear that somebody is cutting their grass outside, so sorry about that if it's a bit noisy. There we go. Oh my gosh, look, stuck everywhere with those hot glue threads again. Ugh, they're really bad today. Okay, so that's another one. Looking really cute, isn't it? So that's those two. I'm just checking the time now, 45 minutes. So should we do one more? Let's do one of these blue ones, because I was intrigued how they would look. Which, weirdly enough, that pink flower was just laying beside it. And although it's a pink, you know, pink flower, so completely different, it still looked quite pretty against there. Right, again, I'm just seeing what else I've got just laying about on the desk. And of course, this is where I'm now not really going to be able to find anything quite right. This is one of my inked inches. I don't know why I can't say that, but I mean, sometimes I should really practice saying something before I call something a word or a phrase or a name or something, because of course then every time I refer to it, it's you know, I find it a mouthful to say. Should we have that? That's quite pretty, isn't it? One of my dictionary definitions. So again, we'll just ink that up. That could go there. And I want something to put on here. Can't think what to put on there at the moment. I shall have a little bit of a dig around on the desk and see what's laying about. I like the way that the word flower is just poking out from the flap there, you know, because of course you can see the flowers, so that's nice, isn't it? Right, having a look, seeing what I've got laying about. I mean, I have got a little rose, but that's yellow, which is not necessarily great, is it? What do you think? Or do you think mixing up the colours sometimes is a bit nice? I am inclined to be a little bit playing it safe always, you know, a bit matchy-matchy. And, you know, actually sometimes I think I need to be a bit more adventurous and mix it up a little bit. It's hard to, though, isn't it? When your natural instincts are always, you know, to have everything kind of coordinating. It's quite hard to then venture outside of that. What else have I got here? Got some of my number tabs. Okay. Oh, I've got a little frame here. Oh, that's cute, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have that. So this is just a stamped piece. Now, because this is stamped on the back of some very glittery card, I'm actually going to hot glue this on, because then I know it's glued really well. Just because that glittery paper, it's got a bit of a sheen, so, you know, it might not be so good for, you know, sticking. Oh, I love how that looks now. I love all those little frames and things. I just think they're so cute. So again, just ink around this and then just ink all the way around. Oh, that's so cute, isn't it? And then again, should we just go for some lace? I mean, of course, you know, we've decorated all of these up, but to be honest, I mean, I personally think these look absolutely gorgeous, just plain, you know, with no decorating at all. So, yeah, don't feel that you have to kind of now decorate them all, because, I mean, I think have probably used these more often than not plain anyway. I think they're just absolutely lovely when they're plain. There we go. Do we want any bling? No, I'm going to have a bling-free piece, I think. Oh, look. Let me just cut off those little side thread bits and then just try it one more time. So again, I'm just going to stand up to look down on it, because sometimes things look quite different, don't they, when you're looking down. Oops. Oh, I'm going to have it bling-free. Yep, I'm going to have it bling-free. So, yeah, that's those three obviously decorated up. But as I say, you know, I think personally, not decorated, they look absolutely adorable as well, you know, and just ideal for popping in a pocket or hanging over a page or sticking on a page, you know, lots and lots of options with these. So yeah, I hope that you liked them, and hope that you have had fun making some if you've made some. And yeah, I hope that you will join me again for some other projects soon. As I say, I've got some other fun things coming up on my channel, so yeah, I hope that you'll join me for some of the fun bits that I've got coming up. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all again soon then. Thanks then. Bye.